All right, so we are going to do a little bit of a review since we missed the past couple days. So take a look at this first problem and make sure you're writing these down as we go. So it says find the approximate, so you're going to be rounding, arc length of the darkened arc. Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So it says arc length, which means you're going to be using circumference, which is 2 pi r. So taking a look, you want the darkened arc, so that would be this arc here. So that means we want this many degrees out of the 360 total. And you're going to be multiplying that by the circumference. So 2 pi r is 12 in this case. Remember, every time you substitute, you put parentheses around it. If you put this in your calculator, you should get 15 pi. But remember, it says to round to the nearest hundredth. So put 15 pi in your calculator and you'll get 47 and 12 hundredths, and our units would be yards, not yard squared because it's just length. Okay, taking a look at the second one, find the exact area of this sector. Sector is like the piece of pie or piece of pizza. So since it's area, we're going to be using pi r squared, okay, of the shaded sector. So notice how this yellow portion is the shaded sector. So we're not going to be using 150. We're going to have to find the angle there. Since there's a total of 360 degrees in a circle, we're going to do 360 minus 150 to give us the angle that we need, which in this case is 210 degrees. So that's the degree that we're going to be using in our setup. So just be careful of that. So we'll be using 210 out of 360 times area, pi r squared, so pi 9 squared, because 9 is our radius. And you want the exact, so that means you put everything but pi in your calculator. So when you do that, 210 divided by 360 times 9 squared, you'll get 47.25 pi kilometers squared. Now, this is one option since it's exactly 0.25, but let's say it wasn't and it was this crazy long decimal. You would have to hit math, enter, to get you a fraction. So if we were to write 47 and 25 hundredths as a fraction, it would be 189 over 4 pi kilometers squared. So either one of those answers are exact, and that would be totally fine. All right, so now let's take a look at this third question. It says, find the area of the segment. Now, just as a reminder, this segment is this here, this crust of the pizza, that like crescent shaped there. And you want your answer in terms of pi, which means exact. It's just a fancy way of saying exact. So you want to see pi in your answer, so you don't want to put pi in your calculator. So we are going to be taking the area of the whole piece of pizza and subtracting the triangle. So, right, that's sector minus triangle. The area of the sector minus area of the triangle. And just as a refresher, the area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. And since our central angle is 90 degrees, we already have the base and the height. These are both radii of the circle, so they're both 8 miles. So we'll be using those as base and height, and it doesn't matter which one we use as base and height. They're interchangeable. So for the area of the sector, 90 over 360, and area of the circle is pi r squared, so pi 8 squared. And we want it in terms of pi, so we'll put everything in our calculator besides pi. So this is 16 pi. And we're subtracting the area of the triangle, so in this case we're subtracting 1/2 8 times 8. So half of 8 is 4 times 8 is 32. So 16 pi minus 32 miles squared, because it's area. That would be our final answer in terms of pi. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this one. It says find the approximate area. So we're going to be rounding of the shaded segment to the nearest hundredth. Okay, given the diameter of circle A is given 18 centimeters and the measure of angle CAB is 120 degrees. Now, if the diameter is 18. You divide it by 2 to get the radius, so the radius would be 9. So we can put 9 centimeters, 9 centimeters. Now, because it's a segment, once again, it's the same thing of sector, area of the sector minus the area of the triangle. But in this case, finding the area of the triangle is a little bit harder because we don't have the base and height, which means we have to find it. In order to do that, you're going to have to draw in the height of your triangle. And right, it's always perpendicular to the base. So notice if you want to draw a separate picture on the side, you totally could. I'm going to do it over here. When you do that, you'll still have your 9 centimeters here. When you draw in your height, this becomes a 60-degree angle, half of 120. And you need the base and the height. So, I don't know, call one X, call one Y. And if you notice, this is a 60-degree angle, so you could use special right triangles for this. Which in this case, we could label our sides as 2x, and across from the 30 would be x, and this is x root 3, if you remembered those. But if not, we'll also do trig as well. In this case, if 9 equals 2x, that means our x is 4.5, which would mean this side is 4.5, and this is 4.5 root 3. So that would mean that means this is 4.5 root 3. So the whole base of the triangle, we'll have to times it by 2, right, to get the whole thing since we cut the triangle in half. So that would mean 9 root 3 is the whole base. Okay, so that's using special rights, but if you didn't remember those or you forgot, you can also use trig. So I'm going to use trig. So if we were to find x from our 60-degree angle, that's our adjacent and hypotenuse. So that would be our ca, right? So cosine of 60 would equal x over 9 when you cross multiply. X equals 9 cosine of 60. And when you put 9 cosine of 60 in your calculator, you still get 4.5, right? And then to find y, that's our opposite, and use the 9 still for the hypotenuse for the other side. So that would be our so this time it's sine of 60 equals y over 9. Cross multiply 9 sine of 60. 9 sine of 60 equals 7.79, which is the same as 4.5 root 3. But we have to times it by 2 to get the whole thing. So our whole base of the triangle is going to be 15.59. Okay, so we have our height and we have the base. So we can use those to find the area of the triangle. So back to the problem, if we're doing sector minus the triangle, the sector is 120 out of 360 times pi r squared, pi 9 squared, and then we're going to subtract the area of the triangle, which is 1/2 base and height, and we have the base and height now. And you could use 4.5 and 9 root 3 either way, but since we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, those are also fine, the decimals. So 1/2, the base is 15.59, and the height is 4.5. Round to the nearest hundredth, so put this entire thing into your calculator. Writing that correctly is 3.2, but getting the right value from putting it into your calculator will be 4.2. So here would be 27 pi minus 0.5 times 15.59 times 4.5, 35.0775. So that's if you left it exact, but put that whole thing in your calculator. So 27 pi minus that would give you 49.75, and our units would be centimeters squared. Now, we don't need this middle step here. I'm just showing you what it would be if I wanted it quote-unquote exact. But it says to round, so that should be your final answer. So just make sure when you go to find the area of the triangle, you get the base and height. But otherwise, you should be all set. Good luck.